The Galactic Council chamber was silent. 12 alien leaders sat around a glowing circle, their eyes fixed on a spinning blue sphere in the center. Earth, the council chief, a tall insectoid being named Exernal, raised a thin silver finger. Earth, he said coldly, is a mess. A chaotic planet full of war, emotion, and disunity. Their species is unstable. The others nodded double quotes. They change leaders every few years. They fight themselves more than they fight others. They poison their own planet. Laughter spread like wildfire in the chamber. Yet they have survived, Kukshanal added, frowning. And now ... we must choose one from them. One human. For what? Asked a quiet voice. The trial of chaos, Kernal said. The test we all pass to join the high ranks. Let's see what a creature of chaos does when thrown into greater chaos. More laughter. Far across the galaxy, a human named Kai Thorne stood inside a dark hangar. Metal walls, humming lights, and a round platform in the center. He wasn't wearing armor. Just a dark shirt, ripped jeans, and old boots. A council drone floated in front of him. Its voice echoed with pride and disgust at once. You have been chosen. Human. You will face the trial of chaos, a series of deadly tests created by our ancestors. Kai scratched his head. Why me? Random selection, the drone said. Kai smiled. Figures. Then he stepped forward and said something the drone did not expect. Let's make them regret inviting me. Test 1, the maze. Of panic, a blast of white light hit Kai's eyes. He blinked and found himself inside a dark labyrinth. The walls were alive literally. They shifted, breathed, and whispered. From above, speakers blared. You have 30 minutes. Reach the center. Every wrong turn ... will hurt. Kai chuckled. This feels like rush hour in downtown Chicago. He ran forward, not straight, but sideways, touching walls, kicking one. Suddenly, a panel slid open. He didn't follow logic. He followed disorder. And it worked. The watching aliens were stunned. Did he just open a hidden door? No pattern could detect that. He guessed? Colonel narrowed his eyes. He felt the chaos. Test 2. The illusion of fear next. Kai was dropped into darkness. He opened his eyes and saw fire. Screams, his old unit. His brother dying. Bombs falling. A voice whispered, This is your greatest fear, human. You cannot run. But Kai didn't run. He sat down, lit a cigarette, and smiled. Hello, memories, he said calmly. Long time no see. The illusions. Tried harder, his childhood dog dying, his mother crying. Kai exhaled smoke. Try harder. I'm from Earth. We live with this. The room cracked. Fear illusions were supposed to break minds. Kai used them to laugh. Test 3. Logic collapse. This time, Kai stood before a puzzle machine. Dozens of alien symbols danced in the air. A voice explained, You must translate and match 10 alien languages within 10 minutes. Kai shrugged. Pass, you can't pass. Sure I can, he smiled. Let me show you something better. He didn't solve the puzzle. He broke it. He kicked the base, punched a wire, grabbed a loose panel. The machine buzzed, blinked, and rebooted. Now it spoke Earth-English. Double quotes. Hello, Kai. Puzzle complete. The audience gasped. He didn't solve it. He reprogrammed it. He used brute chaos. Kusanal muttered. What is this human? Back at the council, the members were uncomfortable now. This is not strategy. It's madness. But it works. He is not acting by any known logic. That is the logic of Earth, said a silent member, breaking their silence. Kernal stood. Activate the final test, now. Final test. The mirror arena. Kai appeared in a giant glass dome. Every wall was a mirror. Thousands of his reflections stared back at him. A voice echoed, One of these reflections is a hidden killer. Find it, destroy it, or die. Kai looked at the walls. All images were him. Some stood tall, some blinked, Some grinned. Kai stared into one of them and laughed. You blinked too late, he said. He ran full speed into the wall crash. Glass shattered. Metal body hidden behind the image screamed and fell. Kai stood over the fallen mimic. You copied me, he said. But you didn't copy the part that's broken. Back in the chamber, no one laughed now. He passed all chaos trials in record time. No one ever did that. Kuxinal's voice was low. Humans are worse than we thought. But he didn't destroy, he survived. He played with the danger. He enjoyed it. One elder alien whispered, Earth doesn't create monsters. It creates chaos. And it trains survivors inside it. Kai was brought before the council. He stood calmly, hands in his pockets. Colonel asked, How did you survive so easily? Kai tilted his head. Your chaos is artificial. It's designed, planned, pretty. He stepped closer. Earth doesn't design chaos. It lives in it. We're born in storms, raised in noise. You study chaos. We are it. The council sat in stunned silence. Kai added one last thing. You wanted to mock Earth. Now you know. We're not the strongest, the fastest, or the smartest. He pointed to his temple. But we're the craziest, and in chaos. That wins. The warning lights flashed red. The chamber shook as alarms screamed across the facility. A group of elite alien soldiers stood inside the containment zone, fully armored, faces covered in panic. Their mission? Survive the trial of flame. Their fear? The human walking beside them, Kai Thorne, wasn't afraid at all. He was smiling. One soldier, a tall blue-scaled Xarn warrior, tightened his grip on his plasma blade and whispered, He's mad. Another, a soft-voiced telemedic, clutched her prayer crystal and asked, Why isn't he scared? The chamber gates opened with a loud hiss. The heat hit them like a living wave. Walls burst into flames. The floor melted in some areas. From the ceiling, liquid fire dripped like rain. A computer voice echoed overhead. Welcome to the trial of flame. Survive 5 levels of rising heat. Oxygen is limited. Last one standing passes. The alien soldiers stepped in slowly, sweat already forming under their armor. Kai walked in barefoot, arms stretched, breathing deep. Smells like home, he said, and laughed. Level 1 began. Walls turned orange. Heat pulsed like a heartbeat. One soldier dropped to his knees, already choking. His suit sensors failed. Kai, help him. Someone yelled. Kai didn't move. Instead, he crouched beside the fallen alien, stared into his eyes, and said calmly, Your armor is cooking you from inside. Take it off. Are you insane? The alien gasped. I'll burn. Kai reached out and pulled a latch on the suit. Steam hissed out. There, vent it. Less tech, more instinct. Kai muttered. The soldier looked stunned, but alive. And Kai? Still smiling, still standing. Barefoot in rising fire, level 2. Flames danced from the floor. The temperature crossed 600 degrees. Oxygen cut in half. Aliens screamed. One fainted. Another fell into the fire and didn't get up. Kai stood still. Not because he was strong. Not because he was immune, but because he understood chaos. He closed his eyes and said softly, Fire doesn't hate you. It just doesn't care. Stop fearing it. Move with it. He ran forward, not away from the fire, but through it. No! The medic screamed. But Kai leapt through the hottest path and emerged. Untouched. The fire had flared just after he passed. Council watchers stared at the screens in disbelief. Colonel growled. He should be dead. That fire was designed to melt steel. An analyst replied, He's not calculating. He's predicting. Like an animal, like a human animal. Another added, He doesn't resist chaos. He dances with it. Level 3. Fire began falling from the ceiling in streams. The floor broke into burning tiles. Only a narrow path remained. One alien tried to crawl across. A sudden burst melted his shoulder armor. He screamed. Kai didn't even try the path. He walked to the wall, looked up, and climbed with bare hands, with fingers burning. He found a pipe, swung across, and dropped safely. As the crowd gasped, Kai looked up and shouted, "Who designed this test? You think this is chaos? Try rush hour on the 405 freeway." He burst out laughing. Level 4. Now even Kai was sweating. Skin red, breathing heavy. One last alien soldier remained, the telemedic. Her hands shook, her eyes filled with fear. "Kai," she cried, "I can't do it. This isn't natural." Kai sat beside her, in fire, in silence, and told her a story. "When I was 9, he said, my house burned down. I saved my sister. Ran through flames, no shoes, no water, just chaos. Just instinct." The medic stared. Kai took her hand. "This place is fake. Built to scare you. But fear only lives where you let it." She stood. Weak knees, trembling hands, but she followed him. Level 5, the firestorm core now. The final room was open. A tornado of flames spun in the center. Oxygen almost zero. Vision blurred. No one spoke. Even the council watched in total silence. Kai looked at the flame vortex, then walked into it. Yes, into it. Aliens screamed from the observation decks. "No one can survive that. He's lost his mind." Exenol stood. "He is killing himself." But seconds passed. Then more. And Kai stepped out of the firestorm. Alive. Burned, bloody, skin cracked, but smiling. In his hands the core regulator, the device that controlled the storm. He threw it to the ground. "Your chaos," he said, coughing, "is too polite." After the trial, medics rushed to the chamber. Kai waved them away. The telemedic approached him, shaking. "Why? Why did you do this?" Kai looked at her with tired eyes and said softly, "Because while others pray, I laugh. That's what Earth taught me. You survive chaos. By becoming part of it." The council sat in silence once again. Exenol turned off the trial feed. He should have died, but he didn't. Chaos made him stronger. Or maybe Earth does. The council didn't laugh this time. They only whispered. One voice said what none wanted to admit. "We were wrong. Chaos doesn't destroy humans. It raises them." Kai returned to his quarters, his body sore, skin bruised, but his mind calm. He sat on the cold floor, looked into the mirror, and said quietly, "Let's see what the next test looks like. Hope it's harder." And then he laughed again. Chamber lights dimmed. Thick silver doors opened with a loud hiss, revealing a long corridor lined with glowing symbols. None of them looked familiar, not to any species in the galaxy. The trial of mind had begun. 12 alien champions stood at the entrance, their faces sharp with focus. Among them, once again, was the human, Kai Thorne. He wore no armor, just his same old shirt, patched jeans, and the same cocky smile. A Talari priest leaned toward a fellow warrior and whispered, "Why is he smiling? This trial destroys the minds of even our elders." The other warrior shook his head. "He doesn't understand what's coming." But they were wrong. Kai knew what was coming, and he was excited. Inside the corridor, the walls shimmered with alien codes, letters from lost civilizations, numbers that looped like snakes, glyphs that changed each time you blinked. A voice echoed overhead. "Welcome to the trial of mind. 12 competitors. One code chamber. Solve the puzzle or be erased." One alien immediately rushed forward and placed his hand on a glowing symbol. His body froze. His eyes rolled back. He collapsed lifeless. The rest stopped moving, except Kai. He stepped forward, slow and calm, and laughed. "That symbol?" he said, pointing at the one that killed the alien. "That's a recursive loop trap." "Nice try." He winked at a camera he couldn't see. "Your puzzle's cute. Back at the council, alarms flashed. On the data screens, he read it. That symbol comes from a dead planet. It hasn't been spoken in 40,000 years. Exernal leaned forward. This is not luck anymore. This is experience. But no one could explain how the human knew, because even Kai didn't follow rules. He followed instinct. Stage 2. The Room of Echo's 12 doors appeared. Each played a different sound. Voices, screams, music, static. You must walk through only the door that speaks truth. The system announced. Aliens froze. The voices were in dozens of languages. One tried a door. The floor under him vanished. Gone. Another picked one randomly. A blast of energy sent him flying backward. Kai stood still, listening. He closed his eyes. Blocked out everything. Then said, "Third door from the right." "Why?" someone asked. He grinned. "Because all those voices are trying too hard." Only one voice was calm. That's the liar's weakness. The truth doesn't shout. He stepped through and lived. Inside the puzzle core, the remaining aliens now stood before a spinning black sphere. Glowing lines floated around it, forming an impossible riddle. The final challenge: solve it, and you gain access to the Council's highest data vault, something no non-member had ever seen. One alien, a four-eyed genius from the Valari race, stepped up. He calculated, measured, matched shapes. He worked like a machine, then screamed and fell. His mind burned out. The puzzle had hidden traps. Another tried, failed. Another screamed, gone. Soon, only three stood: a silent Vrox tactician, a trembling young Yi scholar, and Kai Thorne, the smiling human. Kai looked at the puzzle. He didn't calculate. He didn't measure. He sat down, crossed his legs, and laughed. "Finally," he muttered. "A puzzle with some attitude." He stared at it like an old friend. The council screamed into their headsets. What is he doing? Why isn't he solving it? He's just sitting there, wasting time. But Kai wasn't wasting time. He was watching the puzzle move. And then he saw it. The pattern was not in the numbers, not in the shapes. It was in the pauses, the flickers, the mistakes. The system had tried to hide randomness behind logic, but it couldn't hide from a human who lived in chaos. And walked through the puzzle, not around it, not solving it, through it. The hologram warped. The system glitched. The entire puzzle cracked apart, and at the center, a door opened. The Forbidden's data vault. Inside, the walls were covered with floating files. Secrets of the Council, warfare strategies, banned weapons, hidden truths. Kai didn't take anything. He just looked around and laughed again. "You've been scared of Earth because we don't follow rules, but here's your mistake." He turned to a camera. "You thought chaos was a bug in the system. It's the only reason we survive." The Council exploded in arguments. This was not a pass. This was sabotage. He broke the trial. He rewrote the rules. But one elder stood and said quietly, "He didn't rewrite them. He understood them better than we do." Exernal growled, "I want him stopped. No more trials. He's a threat." But the decision was made. Kai passed. Again. As Kai left the vault, the Yi scholar ran up to him. "Why didn't you take anything?" she asked. Kai smirked, "Because I didn't need their secrets. I am the secret." And then, with burned hands and tired eyes, he added, "I didn't solve the chaos. I joined it." The field was quiet. Too quiet. Not because there was peace, but because every machine had already locked on target. Hundreds of robotic war drones floated in the air. Their guns glowed blue. Their targeting systems locked onto the center of the arena. One target. One human. Kai Thorne. He stood there, unarmed, unarmored, unconcerned. A voice echoed, "Trial of force begin. Survive against the automated fleet. Use of weapons is optional. Escape is impossible." Alien soldiers watched from glass chambers high above. Engineers, commanders, strategists all gathered to see how long the human would last. Some expected him to die in the first blast. Others gave him a minute. None expected what actually happened. The drones moved, fast, precise, merciless. Hundreds of them surrounded Kai, forming tight circles in the air. But Kai? He just raised one hand and waved. "Hey, metalheads," he said, grinning. "Let's dance." Then he ran straight into them. The drones fired. Plasma bolts screamed through the air. Kai rolled, ducked, slid. A beam scorched past his shoulder. Another barely missed his foot, but none hit. Not one. The watchers were stunned. He should be vaporized. He has no shield. He has no plan. But one alien admiral narrowed his eyes. "No," he whispered. "He has something worse. He has timing." Kai leapt over a drone, grabbed its side, and spun mid-air. The drone lost balance and crashed into two others. Explosion. 3 machines down. No weapons used. Kai didn't stop. He ran toward the drone wall and dove under their legs. He kicked the underside of one. It glitched, turned sideways, and accidentally fired at its own team. Chain reaction. 7 more drones exploded. Inside the control room, Kusernal growled. "Why are the machines hitting each other?" A tech replied nervously. "He's moving unpredictably, sir. The A's can't track him fast enough." "Then increase reaction speed." "We already did." "He's still faster." Inside the arena, Kai stood still again. Dust covered his face. His shirt was torn. But he was laughing. "You gave them perfect aim," he said, looking up at a camera. "But you forgot one thing." He stepped aside. A drone blasted another drone behind him by mistake. "You made them all too perfect." The alien crowd gasped. They watched as Kai ran through the machines, not attacking them, but confusing them, jumping where they couldn't aim fast enough, turning at angles they weren't trained to follow, making them fire into each other. It wasn't just survival. It was art. Then came the big one. The main war drone. The final boss. 10 meters tall, twin cannons, gravity claws, heat-seeking missiles. The trial commander announced. Final phase activated, Titan drone. The crowd went silent. Even Kai raised an eyebrow. "Now that's more like it." The Titan roared to life. Its sensors locked onto Kai instantly. It fired. Missile after missile shot toward him. Kai didn't run. He sprinted toward the Titan. The crowd gasped. Is he suicidal? But Kai had seen something. A small glitch on the Titan's foot. A slightly exposed circuit. Just for a second. That was all he needed. He slid under the Titan as the missile flew over. He pulled a sharp metal piece from the floor. A broken drone blade. Then slam. He stabbed it into the circuit. The Titan paused. Staggered. Then boom. It exploded from the inside. Smoke, sparks, fire. The trial was over. Silence. Kai stood in the middle of the battlefield, breathing hard, covered in dust, bruises, and burns, but alive. And smiling. The council watched in disbelief. This is impossible. He destroyed all our machines. He didn't even use weapons. One voice whispered. He was the weapon. Back in the observation chamber, a quiet alien scientist looked at Kai's movements in slow replay. He muttered. His angles, his steps, he wasn't dodging, he was predicting. Like he knew where the machines would aim. Another asked, "Is that chaos?" The scientist replied, "No. That's human madness trained into calculated instinct." Later, in Kai's recovery chamber, a robotic nurse tried to treat his wounds. He pushed it away gently. "I'm fine," he said, still grinning. "Just need some ice, and maybe a nap." The telemedic from before entered, staring at the screens. "Showing the destroyed drones," she asked. "How did you do it?" Kai shrugged. "You all build machines to protect you, but we build chaos into our bones." They couldn't take it anymore. Kai Thorne had passed 3 impossible trials. No armor, No weapons. Just chaos and instinct. And now, the council was nervous. Inside the tall glass tower of the Galactic Hall, the members whispered in panic. He's not just surviving, he's winning. Humans weren't supposed to pass these trials. His very presence is making the others hesitate. Exernol slammed his fist on the table. No more games. The next trial will not be fair. I don't care if it breaks the rules. The next day, Kai walked into the arena again. His body was sore. Burns still marked his arms. His legs moved slower now, but his eyes, they were sharp, alert. The announcer's voice echoed across the chamber. Welcome to the trial of illusion. Your mind will be tested. You must find the truth. Only the real path leads to freedom. Kai looked up. Real path, huh? He muttered. That's funny, coming from a council full of liars. The trial began. A door opened, and Kai stepped into darkness. He blinked suddenly. He was back on Earth, but not just Earth. His old bedroom, posters on the wall, the scent of coffee. His dog lying by the bed, Kilo. The golden retriever lifted his head and wagged its tail. For a second, Kai froze, then he frowned. No, this is wrong. Behind the scenes, the council watched. A council engineer smirked. The illusion grid connects to the subject's memories. He won't escape. He'll get stuck in his past, said Ixernal. Humans are emotional. He'll fold. But the smile faded when Kai suddenly kicked the wall. It shattered like glass. The bedroom vanished. So did the dog. And Kai was standing in a glowing black space. Nice try, he said coldly. You copied my childhood but forgot my scar. I got that fall when I was 10. It wasn't there. The illusion changed again. Now, he stood in front of a table. On it, a box with a button. A voice whispered, push the button. Your pain ends, the trials end. We'll send you home, just press. Kai laughed softly. You really think this is how you break me? He didn't touch the button. Instead, he sat down beside the table. Then he looked up at the Skiles' ceiling and said, you're scared. That's why you're cheating. The council glared at the feed. Why isn't he choosing? One shouted, he should be begging to leave by now. Exernal growled, then increased the pressure. Add pain. The illusion changed again. Now the box was gone, and Kai's mother stood before him. She looked hurt, bruised, crying. Help me. Kai, please. Inside the illusion, Kai's body stiffened. He clenched his fists. For a long moment he couldn't move. Then he whispered, that's low, even for you monsters. He walked up slowly to the illusion of his mother and hugged her. She froze. Kai smiled sadly. You're not her, but thanks. I needed to see her again. Then he stepped back and his mother's illusion melted into black goo. The council stared in silence. One elder spoke quietly. He faced it, his deepest weakness, and he let it go. Another whispered, no one's ever broken the illusion grid before. Exernal hissed, that overload it. Show him every failure he's ever had. But sir, that could kill him. Then, do it. Inside the grid, the floor cracked. The sky turned red. Screams filled the air. Explosions. War. 1,000 voices cried his name, accused him, blamed him. He saw old teammates dying. Missions he failed. Friends he couldn't save. Every regret, every mistake. But Kai didn't run. He didn't scream. He just stood there, breathing hard, whispering to himself, I made mistakes. I failed people. But I learned. I got up. He looked around and shouted, you think these memories break me? He pointed at the chaos. They made me. The illusion shattered. The arena returned to normal. Kai fell to his knees, shaking, but alive. Later, in the quiet medical bay, Kai lay on a metal bed. His pulse was steady, his body bruised, his hands trembling. But when a nurse came in to check on him, he looked up with the same grin. You guys ever gonna throw something real at me? Back in the council chamber, silence ruled. No one dared speak. Then the oldest member stood. His voice was slow and clear. Every trial we built, every illusion, every trap, he broke them all. Another whispered, he's not the strongest, but he never gives up. That's worse. That's human. Duxinol finally shouted, enough! This ends now. He turned to his generals. Ready. The execution protocol. No more games. We erase him from existence. But the audience, the rest of the galaxy is watching. I don't care. He growled. He's not a player anymore. He's a problem. But what the council didn't know was, Kai had already heard them. He had planted a tiny signal spike into one of the drones during the war trial. And now, he was listening to their plans. As he sat on the medical bed, tired but smiling, he whispered into a hidden mic. Nice. Finally playing dirty? Good. Now it's my turn. The order was final. Kill the human. Now. Exernol's voice echoed through the command center. His eyes were filled with rage. His claws dug into the table. He's made us look like fools. End it before the galaxy sees more. Elite guards nodded and stormed out of the chamber. But Kai Thorne was already moving. Even while resting in the medical wing, he had heard every word. How? Because he planned ahead. Back during the drone battle, when he destroyed the Titan unit, he had pulled out a hidden microspike, a tracker, a listener. He had hacked into the council's private network with nothing but stolen parts from broken drones. That's what they never understood. While they tested his strength, he studied their weakness. As the guards approached his room, ready to fire, they found it empty. No body. No bed. Just one word carved into the metal wall. Too slow. Panic spread. He's gone? He's not in the room? Check the cameras. But the footage was static. Every camera that faced Kai's hallway had glitche. One officer asked, how? This area is locked from the inside. Another whispered, unless he never left through the door. They ran to the vent system. It was open, and burnt on the side was a handprint, the mark of a plasma-heated escape. Meanwhile, deep in the lower levels of the station, Kai walked silently through maintenance tunnels. His body still ached. His hands were scraped. But his mind was sharp. He knew he had only one chance. This wasn't escape. This was payback. Above him, the council panicked. The prisoners are watching. The soldiers too. They're talking about him, calling him a legend. Etchernal slammed the table. If he's a legend, then let's end the story. They released the Void Hounds, cyber beasts, built in silence. Fed with fear. No one had ever seen them and lived. 4 of them were dropped into the tunnels. Their noses could smell electricity, heat, even thought signals. They rushed into the dark, fangs out, eyes red. But Kai wasn't running, he was waiting. Had studied them in secret files. Weak joints near the neck, thin plating behind the legs. As the first beast pounced, he slid under it, jammed a pipe into its side, and kicked it toward a power cable. Zzz to TT. Boom. The hound exploded in sparks. The others paused, and that's when Kai struck again. He didn't fight like a soldier. He fought like a ghost with a grudge. In under 5 minutes, all 4 Void Hounds were down. One crushed by a falling vent, another exploded by redirected steam. The third fell into its own trap. The fourth, Kai simply whispered into its audio core, run. And it did. Now, Kai reached the lower data core. It held the records, evidence, trial footage, secrets. He plugged in the stolen spike. And began uploading everything, all trials, all illegal changes, all cheating. To the entire galaxy. In the council chamber, screens across the walls turned white. Then the feeds played. Footage of fake illusions, edited scores, secret conversations. The audience watching from different star systems gasped. He was cheated. They tried to kill him. This wasn't a test, it was a trap. The galaxy turned against the council. Protests began on space stations. Messages flooded in. Other species demanded truth, honor, justice, but for Kai. This wasn't revenge. It was just step one. An alarm rang. He's in the data core. Send every unit. But when soldiers arrived, guns ready, no Kai, only smoke, a burning spike. And another message carved into the wall. You made this game. I just learned to win it. At that same moment, a stolen ship blasted from the side hangar. Fast. Unregistered. No AI. Just manual controls. And a very tired human at the helm. Inside. Kai grinned. He wasn't safe yet, but he wasn't a prisoner anymore. And as stars rushed past his ship's window, he whispered, "Let's see how far this chaos can go." Back at Council HQ, Colonel stared at the galaxy map. "Find him," he growled. "Hunt him down." But one commander shook his head. "He's inspired billions. If we chase him now, we might start a war." Far away, on a desert moon, a rebel cell watched the trial broadcasts. Their leader, a quiet alien with a scarred eye, pointed to the screen. "That's him," she said. "The Chaos Human." A younger fighter asked, "Should we contact him?" "No," she replied. "He'll find us." The galaxy was tired. Tired of war. Tired of rules. Tired of the Council. For decades, the Galactic Council promised peace, but all they gave was control. Their trials were cruel. Their power unshaken. Until Kai Thorne shattered the system. Now, billions had seen the truth. The lies, the cheating, the human who turned madness into resistance. But the galaxy wasn't ready for what came next. On a cold moon called Eshka Prime, 20 species met in secret. Old enemies, ancient rivals, former slaves. They all sat in one circle. The room was silent until a small alien, blue-skinned and sharp-eyed, whispered, "Is it true? He lives?" A rebel captain nodded. "He escaped the trials, exposed the council. Now he moves without permission." An insectoid warlord clicked. "Does he want war?" "No," the captain replied. "He wants truth. But truth brings fire." And then the doors opened. Kai walked in, wearing a torn jacket, face scarred, eyes calm. No weapons. Just presence. They all stood. Some reached for their sidearms. Others just watched. But Kai didn't flinch. He walked to the center of the circle, stood tall, and said just one thing. "I didn't come to fight. I came to break what's keeping you from living." For a moment, silence. Then the insectoid warlord growled, "You think one human can undo centuries of rule?" Kai looked him dead in the eyes. "No," he replied, "but I'm not one human anymore." He pulled out a small chip, plugged it into the table. The screen lit up. Thousands of names. Across hundreds of planets. All people, all beings, ready to rise. "What is this?" a rebel general asked. Kai smiled. "A storm." Across the galaxy, Kai's message spread. "They took our chaos. They turned it into chains. But chaos is not weakness. Chaos is the will to change what they fear." From mining moons to battle stations, from slave pits to border camps, uprisings began. Small at first. Then louder. Bolder. One station refused to power down for council inspections. Another planet refused to pay tribute. Old warships, hidden in scrap fields, were pulled from the dirt and rebuilt by ex-prisoners, and all of them carried the same symbol, a burning spiral, the mark of Kai Thorne. Back on Council Central, Exanol watched in horror. They're following him. They're calling it the Spiral Rebellion. One advisor whispered, "He didn't start a fight. He started a belief." Exanol's voice cracked with rage. "Destroy every system showing his signal." "But it's everywhere, sir. Even our own soldiers are watching." Meanwhile, Kai stood on a stolen transmitter tower on Juno 6, surrounded by storm clouds. Rain poured. Wind howled. His jacket flapped like a flag. A cum officer turned to him and said, "They'll trace this message in seconds." "I know," Kai replied. "But 1 second is enough." He pressed the broadcast button. To the tired. To the silenced. I don't care what species you are. If you've ever been *** punished for asking questions, lied to for being different, told to follow and never speak, this storm is yours. Let's tear the sky open together. Boom! The tower exploded seconds later, but the message had already gone out, and on 29 planets that night the flags of the council were burned. In the shadows of a desert world, a young alien girl whispered to her brother, "That's the human, right? The one who didn't blink?" He nodded. "Yeah, they tried to end him, but he became louder." She smiled. "I want to be like that." But peace was never part of the council's plan. The next day, they launched Operation Black Silence, dozens of warships. One command: erase the rebellion. They moved fast, burned towns, bombed transmissions, crushed cells, until they reached Torga Station. And found a trap. Kai had sent no soldiers there, just a message. "We knew you'd come. You always do. But this time we planned for it." And suddenly, boom, the entire station exploded in fire. The council's ship shut down. Mid-space. Dead. Floating. Then hundreds of rebel ships uncloaked. And surrounded them. Inside one of the rebel ships, Kai stood on the bridge. No military uniform. No medals. Just fire in his voice. "You built a galaxy on fear. Now you'll learn what courage looks like." The council was cornered. Ships lost. Armies divided. Messages intercepted. Across the galaxy, Kai Thorne's name became a symbol, not of war, not of hate, but of freedom. Born from chaos, even their own officers whispered his name with respect now, and worse. Some stopped following orders at Council HQ. The air was thick with fear. Arnal stared at the holomap. Planets blinking red. Cities in flames. Stations silent. "We were rulers," he said quietly. "Now we are targets." His voice cracked. His claws trembled. And then a messenger ran in. "Sir, he's here." Silence. Exernal stood. "What?" The officer nodded, sweating. "He didn't send ships. No fleets. No army." "Then what?" "Did he send?" The officer whispered. "Himself." Down in the grand hall, Kai Thorne walked through the massive black doors. Alone. No guards stopped him. No traps triggered. He walked through the heart of the most dangerous place in the galaxy. Like he owned it. Every screen turned on. Every camera pointed to him. Billions. Across systems watched. One human. No weapon. Facing the leaders of the galaxy, Cursor Null sat in his chair, surrounded by trembling council members. "You're mad," he hissed. Kai stopped 5 steps away. "Maybe," he said softly. "But your madness built cages. Mine broke them. Why are you here?" Another elder shouted. "To kill us?" Kai shook his head. "No, killing you changes nothing." He walked to the center of the room, turned to the cameras, faced the galaxy. "I didn't come to end lives," he said. "I came to end your lies." He pulled a small chip from his jacket, plugged it into the main table, and every crime played. Fake trials, the death orders. The silencing of peaceful protesters. The punishments for species who resisted. The lies that held entire planets hostage. Across the galaxy. Gasps, tears, rage. And then silence. Until a voice broke it. A young boy watching on a mining moon whispered, "He's showing the truth, real truth." Back in the hall, the elders sat frozen. Kai turned to them. "You could have led with honesty. You chose fear. You could have built peace. You built cages." They said nothing. Then Colonel stood, snarling, fangs out. "You have no army, no crown. You are nothing." Kai stared at him. "I'm the proof that one voice, one spark is enough." He stepped forward and whispered, and I never needed to win. I just needed to wake them up. Suddenly, alarms blared. Ships arriving. Thousands. But they weren't. Council ships. They were rebel ships, civilian. Freighters. Warriors. Miners. Engineers. Scientists. All coming together. Kunal looked up. What is this? Kai answered, "This is what happens when chaos finds purpose." The rebels entered the hall, but not to fight. They came to vote. And one by one, the galaxy's free worlds declared the council broken. Dismantled. Gone. Kai didn't stay for the celebration. He walked out the same way he came, quiet, calm. On the roof of the tower, a small ship waited. As he stepped inside, a rebel leader caught up. "You're leaving?" Kai nodded. "This wasn't about me. It never was. My part's done." She looked at him. "What do we do now?" Kai smiled. "You build something better," and with that, he was gone. Years later, a school on a floating city taught young beings from every species. No kings, no chains. Just learning. One small student raised her hand. "Teacher, is the story of Kai Thorne true?" The teacher smiled. "Parts of it. Some say he disappeared. Some say he still watches. Some say..." She leaned in. He became the storm that freed us all.